Sprout! Today, I'm going to be learning about the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, with an expanded free trial which you can play through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Stormblood expansion up to level 70 for free with no restrictions on playtime. For the first time! Here we go!
What up, warriors of fartness? I bet you don't have the slightest clue how to play this eyeball-melting anime game. Oh, sure, you probably know that you can beat up enemies by clicking on them until they die, but do you know how to find a static in your FC to help you prog uwu? I bet you don't even know what any of those words mean, so sit down, shut up, and eat your gizzle greens, because I'm gonna teach you what thee may hap not knoweth, thy noobliness. Welcome to A Crap Guide to Final Fantasy. The tank is the person in the front lines of...
I did not understand a single word he said. Or they said. I did not understand one.
The tank is the person in the front lines of every group, leading the charge to inevitable party wipes, which is because you are the most important person in the party, having slap fights with the boss since everybody else is way too squishy to handle the puss-pounding patty cake. You'll never see Jimmy's soft boots eyeing up the cloud of...
He said the puss-pounding patty cake! He said the puss-pounding patty cake! I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Okay, just this is poetry. Shakespeare would be jealous. Shakespeare would be jealous at the prowess of poetry.
Darkness with his 2x4 and scriggly tree branch. But how hard can tanking be? Turn on your tank stance, do your 1-2-3 combo, and blame the healers when you die, right? That sounds like somebody who needs their short Q privileges revoked. Firstly, tank stance. You turn this on to start gaining enmity. What's enmity? It's where you shout at the bad guys, "Hey, hit me!" They'll be paying attention to you so long as you're dealing damage, so you better be dealing damage and not just having a staring contest. If you don't, then they're gonna start indiscriminately charging at the rest of the party like a dog in a movie theater. If you are the designated main tank, or in light parties, the only tank, make sure this is on. If there is another tank in the party and you are the off tank, make sure this is off, unless there's some other bad guys you gotta pull. If you have conflicting stances with the other tank, they will chuck their shoulder pads at you. As a tank, you should make sure the bad guy's ass is facing the party as often as possible, as indicated by the bright glowing half-eaten donut underneath the target. This is so that if the bad guy sneezes, you're the only one getting down with the sickness. And also, if your party has anyone playing any jobs that particularly likes to clap them cheeks, you've provided a bright shiny spanking space. On top
I love the ass smack. Hold on. Wait. I love that sound effect. Wait a minute.
Yes, and also if your party has anyone playing any jobs that particularly likes to clap them cheeks, you This, as a tank, you are, by Heidelin's blessings, horrible at dancing, which is why you should move as little as possible once you've got the enemy's attention. That way, the party can continue to whap the wumpus without having to chase down the bad guy's glorious booty. Just as well, because you have control of where the baddies are, you control how useful everybody else is. So if somebody puts down a useful AoE, stop fucking running away from it! Now that you have the baddie's attention and are in a nice cozy poking position, you don't have to worry about anything else, right? Ah, that's what I thought you'd say, you dumb fucking horse! Believe it or not, when you die, it's not entirely the healer's fault, just mostly their fault. That little bit of responsibility you have is based on how well you can juggle mitigation. What's mitigation? It's the buttons that make the bad guy's slaps hurt less that you sometimes press once a subscription and never think about again. You ever wonder why you have several of those buttons that all seem like they do the same thing? Well, that's because you're supposed to space them out over the course of a fight so the healers don't have to sacrifice their entire mana pool and firstborn child to get your frail ass through the dungeon. Remember not to bust your tanking load all at once, or else you're gonna feel a lot of shame when you're all out of juice and the boss still wants to go about 4 more rounds. Every tank also has a press X to not die button that can be used to survive any devastating attacks, or if you're a really aggressive paladin who drew every enemy in a dungeon ever and don't want the healer to hire a hitman on you. As for what your limit break does, tanks are thicker than the average Disney mom, to the point your honky chonky donkey bahonky extends to the rest of the party, protecting them from damage up to a
honky chonky donkey bahonky. Oh my god, this is such pure poetry. I can't get over honky chonky badonkey. Oh my goodness.
a whopping 80% at LB3. The thing is, unless you're a high-end player, you'll probably be using tank LB as frequently as a good player rolls high on loot. Overall, you have 4 flavors to choose from: punk, grunge, metal, and Christian rock. There's warrior for big axes, big anger, big self-healing, and if you like to do fell cleaves again and again and again and again. If you prefer more brooding than cruding, the Dark Knight is great for doing your best guts impression. You get a huge-ass sword, goopy black energy particle effects, and the literal best mitigation in the entire game, but it's balanced because they get the worst invulnerability button in the entire game. You press it, and then it makes you die. Gunbreaker is called a tank, but everybody knows it's just 3 DPS in a trench coat, as designated by the fact you get a fucking gun and your swings explode. But you have to be a hardcore gamer, since it requires a lot of cartridges. And finally, the Paladin, who tries to pretend they're a healer and caster, but only when the other healers and casters are looking. But fuck all that, because the most important thing is that you get the motherfucking sword and shield, baby! Try getting behind this wall of holiness, bitch! Now you know how to play tank, you're welcome.
So, what I gathered are tanks are they like to charge into battle, and they like to basically get the enemy to go to them, right? Like, they make the enemy forcibly fight them. They fight the enemy while the rest of the party does, like, attacks from afar, right? So this is like, if you want to do that, if you want to be, basically, if you're an attention-seeking whore, become a tank.
I love power, and I love feeling power.
Okay, so this is healers now. So we're watching healers, okay.
It strokes my biggly wiggly and forces lesser beings to bow down to my awesome might lest they taste my boot between their gums. Nothing has ever given me the same rush of adrenaline than knowing that everybody has to submit to my whims for their own safety. It makes my brain do the goody good chemicals and allows me to feel as though I have control over this truly unfortunate reality that the universe is slowly careening into an eventual heat death, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, as we are inconsequential specks in this cruel and uncaring universe. But none of that matters, because look at this, I can pull my party members into a pit that kills them. I find that hilarious. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
Oh my god! Healers!
The greatest power of all is the power to have control over people's lives, which is why the healer is the most likely party member to have a god complex. Right behind main tanks, mentors, and anybody who's an omnicrafter. You are the most important person in the party, as you, along with the tank, are responsible for keeping the party alive by kissing their boo-boos and slapping the bitch who made the boo-boo. That's right, as a healer, you do have to deal damage as person in the party, as you, along with the tank, are responsible for keeping the party alive by kissing their boo-boos and slapping the bitch who made the boo-boo. That's right, as a healer, you do have to deal damage as well. Man, but it's called a healer, and healers are supposed to heal, right? Wrong! A healer's job is not necessarily to heal the party, but rather to keep them alive. And yes, there's a difference. There's gonna be a lot of downtime between heals, and you bet your afflatus rumpus that you're making the fight take longer than it has to if you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting for your next chance to cast Cure. What do you do when the party's full health? What do you do when the party's full health? Or even halfway up and standing, TPS the bad guys. No, I don't pay your sub. But when the fight takes too long, it starts to rub all up on everybody's nerves. And when you hit endgame, it serves you right when the boss will wipe the party cause you couldn't beat Enrage. Sure, you're for the most part keeping the party alive with a variety of healing utility spells, some regen, some shields, but an equal amount of time you're casting those, you're also throwing in some extra DPS when time allows. Remember, DPSing is just mitigating future damage. And if you're able to kill the
Oh, I actually never knew that. So when I have played Final Fantasy 14, I have, once again, baby, didn't really get far, but I played as Summoner and as White Mage. I think that was like the paths I was choosing. And I thought, Summoner, I just wanted some cute animals and make them fight in battle. And when I was White Mage, I just heal people, right? So I didn't know that I'm also supposed to be doing DPS.
current wave of dungeon mobs before they deplete the tank's HP, which by the way is going to regen to full by the time you reach the next mob pool anyway. What does it matter how low their HP gets? So yes, DPS when time allows. When does time allow? Well, I know you're scared of independence and thinking by yourself, but that's going to be a balancing act you'll have to figure out. However, my rule of thumb is the minimum amount of HP a party member has to be at is 1. But if that's too scary-wary for your little fingies, ask yourself, will the enemy's next attack make your party member fall on their ass? If yes, heal so that it doesn't. If no, time to become a glare mage, motherfucker. As long as they're alive and you're clearing the content, you're doing your job right. There is one caveat to doing your job right, and that's that everybody will hate you for it. Literally. By healing, you start to generate a lot of aggro from the bad guys, so if you ever decide to heal before mob pulls in dungeons, it's important to stick close to the tank like an ERPer sticks to Vieira's wearing 2B thigh highs. Especially if you throw on a regen and suddenly 800 mobs crash
ERPers stick to Vieira's wearing thigh highs. Oh my god. Oh my god.
through the wall with a How to Fry Fairies cookbook. You can still do it, but you should know what you're getting into, like live streaming and hoping that anybody will watch. As for your limit break, we heard you like healing, so we put more healing in your healing so you can heal while you heal. Unfortunately, you won't be using any limit break aside from LB3 because LB1 and 2 just heal the party, and you already have plenty of band-aids and popsicles to do that on your own. LB3, however, is so potent in healing it resurrects everybody in the party back from the dead instantaneously, but they will have to do the thriller afterwards, so it's best to be safe for when you at least have enough people to make a backup dancing crew. For the flavors of healer, we have 3 boomers and the new kid on the block who bought a Glock and has a TikTok. The white mage is the most straightforward. You heal when a buddy is hurt and you attack when they're not. Just about everything in your arsenal is all about feeding them so much it'll make an inflation artist blush in embarrassment. You're also equipped with the best AoE skill in the entire game and the ability to never run out of mana unless you're really, really bad. Best of all, when your buddies get hurt, you can heal them to harness their
blood for the blood lily.
But let's say you want to play white mage, but you like tarot readings and star signs like a suburban woman in her mid to late 20s. Astrologian is probably for you. You draw cards that will enhance the abilities of your party members and you fill the arena with enough space dust and constellations that you'll need 5 layers of sunglasses to see. Taking this job will also teach you how to build a bomb. Don't worry, it's friendly. Scholar is a weirdo who used to hang out with all the bad DPS kids, but decided to turn their life around when they met a nice girl who supports them in their new hobby. Only problem is she knows nothing about your hobby and you have to keep correcting her on fandom trivia. They're all about putting shields and defensive buffs that protect the party from taking damage in the first place. That way they can guess what? DPS even more. Also, your girlfriend can get thick. And finally, the new kid on the block, the Sage. A scholar who decided to stop being nice and pick up a gun that shoots lasers!
What?
Like Scholar, they also put shields and protective buffs on their party members so they can spend more time shooting lasers! How do they do this? After seeing Alphino change to the job, my guess is the Nullis are liquefied carbuncles. Rest in peace, Carby. And now you know how to play healer. You're welcome.
Wait, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Science?
Everyone always says you should be a team player, but honestly, I've always felt like the best way to help the team is by crushing whatever obstacle that's in the way with my heavily toned squat receipts. So that's it. No more playing for anybody else. I play for me, baby. Any reason the raid wipes from now on is no longer my fault. I only exist to make big numbers fly towards the screen and watch my skill bar light up like a Christmas tree at a rave party. And you bet your precious patoot the progress preventers will be promptly pounded because this potent projector of pain will be peppering those beasties until your pack is paved with enough resulting pellets that every peddler will pray to be pampered by a more palatable pacifist. Welcome.
Shakespeare could never. Shakespeare could never. Shakespeare could never. Are you kidding me?
To a crap guide to Final Fantasy. Being a DPS is like being the king of capitalism, because the way you play, taking care of others, is for bitches. Pay no attention to anybody else's well-being unless it directly affects you, and so long as you're alive and safe, you can act like anything bad that happens around you is probably not your fault. All that brain power instead will be put towards what really matters, your complicated as shit damage rotation. That's right, step aside tanks 1, 2, 3 and healers 2 damage buttons. These are where the big guys and gals play. Or at least that's what they like to tell themselves, since one of the only party utilities they have to worry about is pressing the faint button once in a blue moon. Their hotbar will more often have dozens of buttons all dedicated to big damage. The melee DPS is the most important person in the party, as you are the one on the front lines inspecting the bad guy's anus like it's where all the Hrothgar hats are hiding, while avoiding the enemy's sprays of hot, poisonous gamer stink. Not only are you going to be up in their grill turning their cheeks into a ripe tomato while flip-flopping in and out of danger like you're a politician making pancakes, you're also going to make like an adult film star and learn positionals! Certain attacks in your damage rotation will require you to land them in specific areas around the enemy target, specifically the rear and the flank, in order to deal additional damage. How do you tell where those positions are? By the massive disembodied titty underneath the target. See this nipple? That's the front, where the tank will be sucking on the sweet milkies that are tank busters. Which obviously means this conspicuous ticulus on the opposite end is the rear. What about the flank? That'll be on either side of the enemy. And if you're ever confused as to where each area begins and ends, a useful tip on how to tell is imagine there's a big X dividing each of the quadrants. Or you could just press true north and pretend positionals don't exist like it's an embarrassing memory of that time you did the Gangnam Style at school, unironically. The only time it isn't the case is when the enemy has a full ring without an opening, in which case you won't have to worry about any of that guff and you can just sit there like an off-tank who's actually having fun. Otherwise, between hopping back and forth in these two spots and running around catching up to the boss whenever the tank feels like doing cardio, your little wall's legs are gonna get so much working out that they'll be thick as the milk from the teats of a whale made of molasses. Which is to say, expect to move. A lot.
But what if I'm not in the right place for a position or the boss is far away?
Just remember the old adage. Always be casting! Even if you're not able to land your positionals or if the boss is too far away to make a melee attack, be sure to always be pressing your buttons no matter what. Unless you're a monk who has no ranged attack and you have to sit there thinking about how your job will inevitably be reworked yet again in the next patch. However, there is another secret epic gamer option that allows you to maximize the DPS you output at the risk of yourself as well as potentially everybody else. But it's usually the healers. This technique is called greed. The funny thing about AoE markers in Final Fantasy XIV is that they only ever mark you for damage if you are standing in them the moment they go away. This means that if you're fast on your fingers, you can stand there DPSing the bad guy while soaking in their radioactive orange juice until the very last second where you backflip out just as the dropkick of doom skims your fuzzy anime hairs and you don't lose a second of uptime. As I said, however, this is a high risk. If your timing is off and you spend just a millisecond too long, you'll be covered in cheese puffs. You might even die, or in some cases you'll have to suffer a fate worse than having to read the entire 24-hour chat log of Limsa. Damage down. Shh, it's okay. Nobody's gonna take away your big damage numbers. Papa's here to make sure you don't greed too hard if you're not ready, okay? Okay. As the melee DPS, you also have first dibs on limit break against most bosses since yours deals the most damage, specifically when they're single. This is because when you hit the limit break button, you're not actually attacking them, just showing them pictures of a happy, healthy relationship, and nothing hurts more than emotional damage. Just ask Urianger. But what are the individual jobs whom of which melayeth said up-close slappers to thine adversaries? There are 5, and each one is a different flavor of anime and edge. Monk, for those of you who want to go fast, having one of the shortest global cooldowns in the game means you'll be dealing out punches like you're a pissed off caterer at a middle school sock hop. Instead of the traditional combos, each attack puts you in a specific stance. Bird, cat, and monkey. Each one combos into another attack that benefits from each respective stance. Your rotation will be all about swapping stances around more than a kid trying sick moves to impress their crush at a middle school sock hop. You also have perfect balance, which allows you to go freestyle and pick whichever stance you're feeling more at the moment without having to do any of the normal stance setup. If you repeat the same stance 3 times during your freestyle, you get a purple token on your stylish moves punch card. And if you do 3 different stances during the freestyle, you get a white one. Do a freestyle with 3 unique moves one more time while you have both a purple and white tokens on your punch card, and you get to turn it in to make your crush dripping wet. With damage, because for some reason you get to kick them in the face. The only problem is you are the only melee without a ranged attack to keep your uptime. And although you do have a dash that lets you zip around like Goku on a triple shot ristretto down blend macchiato, if ever you find yourself without a target to punch during combat, you can call timeout on your buffs so they stop moving while you have a little cry because your crush rejected you at the middle school sock hop. Dragoon is probably the most straightforward of the melee classes and the one most likely to have a tragic backstory. You've got a 5-button combo that swaps between hard slaps and sakura flowers and a handful of buffs that will turn anybody else in the party into your partner in dragon slaying. What kind of dragon slaying? That's up for you to decide, which you'll have plenty of time to do while you're suspended 20 moms in the air dropping in like a scantily clad human airstrike who's got a date with Nidhogg at 5 and a party at the quicksand at 6. Yes, the Matanga in the room. Dragoon has several damage-dealing jumps necessary to unlocking special attacks in their rotation that will lock you into an animation, which means you're stuck and unable to move out of your location while the boss is just about ready to piss all over the floor right before you land. So be wary when using your jumps, lest you fling yourself right into a danger puddle and perpetuate the tired singular joke the 14 community has for the class. On the bright side though, you do get the objectively best job mentor in the form of Ninja is great for people who enjoy American football, because for every 10 seconds of excitement, there's a minute of fuck all. Your rotation is all about fitting every goddamn cooldown you can into a small window of time where you make the enemy take more damage. And on top of that, you also have the ability to live out every weeb's dream and do a bunch of hand gestures to cast magic attacks and also drop down into a low position and run with your arms flopping behind you in the breeze, which Final Fantasy objectively proves makes you go faster. You got 3 hand symbols, and depending on what order you do, you will make a different kind of anime reference. For example, going Chi Tenjin Tenjin Chi Chijin unlocks a secret dark ending of Korya in the house and causes the enemy to be susceptible to bonus damage. But maybe you're facing a mob of enemies who are immune to A-rank powered life forms, so you'll instead have to go Tenjin Jin Chijin Chijin Ten Chijin Tenchi for 3 seasons of Sonic Underground, which will kick sand into their eyes with how fast you'll be running circles around the slowpokes. More or less, you'll have to do some studying up on what combos do what, but here's a secret cheat sheet. Only the final mudra in the sequence matters. Fuck, it's the skill floor police, cheese it! Samurai, the job most likely to have a dick measuring contest with a black mage. I'd be careful though, their dad works at Square Enix. This weeb is the most selfish of the melees as it provides no utility for the rest of the party and instead acts like the average soccer player, focusing on being the star of the show who gets all the attention, especially when it drops to the floor clutching its knee when somebody sneezes on them. Your attacks contribute to a kink bar, which allows you to shame the enemy in a variety of ways, as your katana is also a substitute for a horny bat. So you remember how the monk has a punch card? Well, so do you, except yours is your sword and the punches are stickers. You have 3 basic combos, each one giving you a slight buff and slapping a sticker onto your your katana. And depending on how many stickers you have, you will get one of 3 different rewards when you turn in your sticker sheet. With 1 sticker, you'll apply a dot that'll last longer than it takes to clean your room. Don't lie to me, I know a majority of my audience has depression. 2 stickers will charge up an AoE around you. And 3 stickers will make... Each sticker attack also gives you an additional separate sticker. And once you have 3 of those, you get to do an additional... And finally, the Reaper, the transfer student from Garlemald who got the rest to mauled at the fact that they think they're better than the rest of the melees. Which I mean they are, but don't let any Reaper hear you say that. It'll go to their heads. Being the darkest and edgiest of melees means that your job gauge is the Dark Souls HUD. Similar to the Samurai, you build up a bar that can be spent on big slaps. And those big slaps give you edgy boy points that can be spent on additional big slaps. Except this time, they're coral blue number 5 semi-gloss lipstick. Once you've kissed enough boys to build up your fashion bar, you get to turn into a spooky ghost. You do the slice. You do the spooky slice. The spooky slice. Now your swings have some spice. You do the slice. It's just your soul that's the price. You do the slice. You do the spooky slice. And now you know how to play Melee. You're welcome. From the northern snow front of Ilsabad, the land was old and the people scarred.
I learned.
Everybody likes to do damage, and don't pretend like you don't, because I know you're lying. Otherwise, why would you be playing an RPG with core mechanics such as leveling up, getting stronger, and looking fashionable as fuck? It's to do massive numbers on the other guys until their numbers are so small they match the PP size of anybody who doesn't commend at the end of a duty. The other members leaving too quickly is no excuse. How do you expect to move quick enough to avoid AoEs if you can't even move quick enough to tell your allies they're doing a great job and that their glamour is sexy? Is that uncharacteristically nice of me? Maybe, but it means I get to steal the LB3 from the only melee in the group. Welcome to A Crap Guide to Final Fantasy.
DPS! We were done with Melee, now we're on DPS.
Today I'm going to be talking about every job. That's right. What, you thought only the DPS have to DPS? Boy, I could slap you with my overflowing glamour dresser. Damage is the name of the game in Final Fantasy XIV, and the entirety of the game is designed around everybody dealing it, including the tanks and the healers. If the DPS roles are contributing 60% of the damage, tanks and healers are the ones who fill in the other 40. So if you don't contribute, you belong in the garbage chute. So don't get so hung up on the role names. Everybody is a DPS! What I mean specifically is that 1, not only is FF14 a cooperative game, which means anytime you waste is not only yours, but also anybody else in your party as well. And 2, every combat feature in FF14 is designed with dealing damage in mind. Healers and tanks get skills that actively promote doing more DPS. Hell, Sage is a healer whose skills actively benefit from doing DPS. And most importantly of all, Enrage. Enrage is what happens when you overstay your welcome in a dungeon or boss arena and the residents have run out of things to talk about and are just really ready for you to leave so they can finally go poop without being worried that you're gonna steal all their old DreamWorks DVDs. That is to say, you're either forcefully kicked out or alternatively they instantly murder you. How do you prevent this from happening? You murder them first, of course, and then you pop in a copy of Shrek 2 so you can watch the castle siege again. And guess what? The later and later in the game you get, the more and more frequent enrages start to appear. And they'll have more and more health too, so if somebody decides they just don't feel like they want to cooperate in this team game they decided to play, and now the boss has 1/8 of its health left and is about to destroy the entire universe, Princess Fiona isn't going to be the only one who will need a hero. Hopefully it's been drilled into your head now that DPSing is essential. Not just for the jobs with the title sticker, but also anyone in a fancy robe or edgy trench coat as well. Now that you know that, how does one go about dealing max deeps? The first most basic thing is to do your combos. Press a button. See another button light up? Press that one. Congratulations, you have successfully completed a combo. And doing so will reap a myriad of benefits, from putting damage over time on your target, gaining mana, doing your taxes, or any variety of other additional effects. But mostly, it all achieves the same goal of dealing more damage. Secondly, you want to press these skills that the game labels as abilities and the community calls off-global cooldowns, or OGCDs for short. More like OGCDs nuts! I personally call them free damage buttons. They cost you nothing and there's literally no reason not to press them while your normal cooldown is rolling.
But this one has a long cooldown. What if I need it later?
No, it doesn't. Shut up. The cooldowns in this game are so short you might as well press them, because by the time you need them again, whoop, they're back up. Not to mention, many jobs require you to press those free damage buttons to unlock even spankier damage buttons. So use your goddamn free damage buttons. It's free damage! The next rule of DPSing is knowing your ABCs. Always be casting! This means mashing away at your keyboard like a tickle monster working double time. More specifically, it means that the best way to make sure you are doing the most damage that you can is to always have your global cooldown going, even if it means accidentally pressing the wrong skill like the single brain cell that you are. Because if you're always pressing buttons, even the suboptimal one, you are doing more damage than if you weren't, and doing damage is always better than not doing damage. Yes, even Skaith. Here's a live example with my two subjects, Jan and Chloe. They both deal 1 million damage and suddenly the boss flies out of melee range. Jan sits there waiting patiently for the boss to return before she can start doing 1 million damage again. Meanwhile, Chloe's pressing the deal 1 damage at a range button the entire time they're waiting. I ask you, puny viewer, which person is dealing more damage right now?
Yeah, but it's only 1 damage.
Who's dealing more damage?
As if any fight is going to get so close that dealing with—
Who is dealing more damage? Sure, it might not look like much, but it's going to matter when they fight the boss that has 3,000,002 health and they wipe all because the other DPS decided they don't want to press buttons. It's such little DPS, it won't make a difference? Sure, Jan. Now, one of the best things you should do to improve your damage in Final Fantasy XIV is this. It's really simple. I want you to lean in. It's a super simple thing. Here, come close. I'm gonna say the thing. Are you ready? Okay, here it goes. Read your tooltips! The little block of text that literally tells you what your skills do. Honestly, you would be surprised how many people queue into an expert dungeon and never realize they have a skill that can attack multiple targets. Even all the things I tell you in this video, the combos, the range attacks, the AoE damage skills, the free damage buttons. The best way to know what your job is capable of is by reading your job skill tooltips yourself. So you better read your goddamn tooltips, because if I see another player not knowing about their AoE combo in a mob pool at level 80, I'm gonna grab the nearest aetherite and bash you so hard you're gonna be teleported to the final resting place of every ERPer's used undergarments. With all that out of the way, you'd think I'd covered everything you need to do to be an ultimate clearing badass, right? Unfortunately not, Waffle Face, because the final responsibility every single role in Final Fantasy XIV shares is not dying. Oh sure, the healers help, but most of the time your own survival is on you and only you. And that means making sure you do the fight mechanics and don't take avoidable damage like it's got the cheese touch. Oh, I'm sorry, are you in the middle of your cast? You wanna try and hit that purple parse like the big man you are? That's too damn bad! Each time you take damage that is avoidable, it means the healer has to heal you and they're dealing less damage. And on top of that, you get this cheese puff called a vulnerability stack. For each stack you have, you take more and more damage until you get one shot when the enemy farts in your general direction. All this to say, if you don't avoid enemy damage, you will not only make the healer do less DPS, but you're also likely going to die, which means 0 DPS. And if you still think that's not a big deal and the healers can just res you, each time you die you get a dunce cap of Shane that reduces your DPS even more for about as long as a red light in Philadelphia. So you better stay alive or else I'm gonna raise you so I can rescue you into an AoE and kill you myself. To recap, everybody's DPS matters. Press your free damage buttons. Always be casting. Read your tooltips. Stay alive. But even if you keep all those things in mind, the #1 rule to improve your DPS performance is to practice. Striking dummies are all over the goddamn place, out in the overworld, and even in the yards of some random people's houses in the residential districts. So if you see one, there's no shame in whacking it a few times like you're auditioning to be a dominatrix. I'm sure the neighbors won't mind. Practice makes perfect, and even all the foresight in the world will not fully translate into the doing. So go and do that doing so that one day you too can do the do and make everybody else look like doo-doo because of how good your doing skills are. And with how much doing you'll be doing, maybe someday you too can clear an ultimate and get a shiny-ass weapon of your own to show off to people AFKing at the Limsa Aetherite Plaza. Just know the difference between an amateur and a master is that a master has failed way more times. By the way, get ready for a party wipe. Wait, what? Congratulations, you're now better at the game than you were 5 seconds ago. Oh! And now you know how to DPS, you're welcome. Oh, finally, my Q just popped.
So you really have to contribute overall.
No, one of the other party members withdrew. Ah, fuck!
So I've learned right now. Okay, so based on the video so far, I still like healers a lot. But we're about to do ranged DPS, and I think ranged DPS is where summoners come into play, right? So maybe I'm gonna learn about that because I have picked it in the past, but I don't think I played it right. I'm learning a lot. Especially I plan on playing solo a lot of the time. You know, I gotta see.
Do complex tasks that involve more than it takes to eat a bowl of mushy cereal. In fact, I don't even feel motivated to hear what my allies need of me. I'm just gonna sit all the way over here, enjoying my lucky charms. Alone. And if things go wrong, I'll have to rely on the ever-reliable American method. I already see absolutely no negative consequences. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy. I'm sick of having to dodge so many up-close AoEs. The boss keeps doing them and I have to keep moving away to avoid getting splatted. And then I have to resort to the equivalent of throwing marshmallows that will scratch the enemy about as hard as a massage therapist with germophobia. I'm trying to beat them into submission, not soften their tenders. What's that I hear you say? There's an option to give me the ability to do max deeps even when I'm disconnected from the boss like an internet provider out in the country? Of course there is. I was just getting to it and I'll thank you not to interrupt me again. The physical range DPS, or just range for short. Physically throwing my spleen into the splattering range of the near semi for long is the more mobile and forgiving cousin of the melee, and is the most important person in the party since you are the least likely to get a commission in the end. And we thank you for providing such a valiant service, as there always needs to be someone in last place. Your role is all about keeping your uptime going, and although yes, every other role is also about trying to do that, you have absolutely no excuse for messing up. The gimmick of the range DPS is that you don't have to worry about any positionals or cast times and can run around the arena like an indecisive artist in Hobby Lobby. You get to stay at a safe distance, and if there's ever a pissy puddle underneath your feet, moving out of the way won't risk you doing suboptimal damage. So what's the catch? Nobody gets off scot-free in this game, as all roles have their stonks and stinks. Tanks have the responsibility of dancing with the boss, healers have to share gear models with the magic DPS that have been dyed white, and you will have to suffer the nail-pulling drawback known as the range tax. To balance for the fact that you have nearly no limitations on your mobility, your damage will be on average slightly less than both the melee and magic DPS jobs. And hell, sometimes even some tanks with their openers that'll put down bosses faster than PETA when it finds a stray. The range tax, although real, will make a tiny droplet of difference in the grand scheme of things, and if you pick a range job and feel as though you're being outdone by your peers, odds are you were probably doing badly anyway, and the reason you have trouble jumping over that hurdle was just because your toes were too big and floppy that you would have tripped over every single one so badly anyway, Discovery Channel would decide to make a show about whether or not you're real. Let me summarize. If you do bad, it's a skill issue. Nevertheless, the same rules as any role applies in the fact that you should stay out of the piss puddles wherever possible. Even more so, considering you're wearing Heelys and by all rights should be able to avoid any and every possible puddle and be the nicest smelling at the party, which is important because the healers only have so much nasal tolerance. Lucky for you, each range also has a bottle of perfume to spray that will at least mask the piss smell a bit. The final shared utility in the belt of the Black Man is the limit break, which although does not do as much single target damage as the melee, has the benefit of being able to hit multiple targets in a line like a really violent high-five surfer. The range roster is a trio of performers, each one skilled in a different charismatic art, and each one a different flavor of slutty. First is the bard, where your bow is your harp. Also, your harp is your harp, because with this job you get a bunch of instruments you can play, including these obnoxiously loud drums. You are one of the few jobs with the endangered species known as the damage over time skill, and your main attack involves firing a single arrow repeatedly until a bigger, cooler arrow gets jealous and sometimes asks to be fired too. But not all the time, because it's not like it likes to be shot or anything. You also have a bunch of songs to play that will make everyone in the party hear a remix of their opening theme. And everybody knows when the opening kicks on, you deal more damage. Because you're the one playing them, you also get your own special benefits, you filthy, dirty performer, you. A song that sometimes lets you shoot more arrows when it feels like giving you some, a song that makes you shoot faster, and a song that lets you shoot more arrows when it feels like giving you some. But a little bit different. All this arpeggios to a crescendo into a grand finale where you fire a big ol' arrow. And if you've played all your songs, you have the ability to face roll your piano and startle your party into doing even more damage. I said hit harder! Now hold on to those notes there, partner. Masaka. For the machinist's main attack, it uses a gun, the most selfish of the...
Masaka. Oh, machinist is the America job. That was so funny. Go back. That was so funny.
Masaka. For the machinist's main attack, it uses a gun, the most selfish of the range classes, where the name of the game is... And the name is labeled on a box called Your Doom being shipped to the enemy at terminal velocity. What you sacrifice in party buffs you make up for in big... Having 3 giant bullets and a bunch of smaller, higher frequency bullets. Doing your normal 1, 2, 3 will get your gun very hot and bothered until it's riled up enough to rapid fire its red hot goodness. And if you make sure to toss your special toy into the mix, it can end in an explosive finish. Keep up that momentum and eventually you can even invite your queen to join in the fun. Hey, I hear she's got multiple frequency settings. All this might make you feel like you're not contributing as much, but no need to be nervous. Lucky for you, this job comes with extra protection. But you are not some simpleton who can be won over by some flashy lights and pretty songs. You want passion, romance, a partner who can live up to your standards. The dancer foregoes buffing the entire party or focusing on doing its own damage and instead picks one party member, one extra special, extra spicy, extra sexy partner in crime to give a super buff in damage in the form of 2 extra flashy minigames of Simon Says. And then you do a little bit of lending and sending the bodies flying their dying to birdies that give them birdies. And afterwards it's just a matter of praying to RNGesus to bless your twinkle toes, because from there it's all coin flips all the time. Your rotation is a 1 and a 2 that can coin flip into a 3 and a 4, and both of those can coin flip into either either a single target or AoE 5, which itself is a coin flipped into a possible 6. Then once you're in rhythm, your spinnies will kill them, then dance in the wind like that million ribbons, and kicking and flipping their carrions into your allies so they can annihilate all that's left. Yay, now they're dead. And now you know how to play ranged. You're welcome.
Ooh, okay, dancers. Although I do like America, though. I do like the American, though.
Do you believe in magic, wearing a massive hat? It's a difficult skill and time-consuming at that, and it's magic, the explodious kind. The best roll to make your party go fully blind. I'll tell you about the magic if you insist I must, but if I stand in AoEs, then healers gotta adjust.
Healers, why didn't you adjust?
Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
Oh, now we're learning about magic DPS. Yeah, I know you can't start as a dancer. I am aware. Yeah.
The last group of the derps per Cirque's job is the magical range DPS, or just magic for short. Look at the hat, nothing up my sleeves. You are the most important person in the party.
That's such a dumb joke! That's such a dumb joke, but it's so good! It's so good! It's such a dumb joke! Oh, that's so funny.
Because when the going gets tough, a big hat is required, and the amount of damage you do is proportionally connected to the size of your brim. Where the melee is sniffing up the boss's farts and the ranged are shouting yo mama jokes while making love to the arena's boundaries, you are the healthy middle, standing your ground till you go down to Pound Town when you found the sound that makes the bad guys frown. You don't do as much damage on average as the melees, instead to trade it off for the utility of being able to attack at a range from anywhere in the arena, with one major difference from your physical range cousin, the cast bar. That little lightish red loading beam that you see just about every other main story quest when you have to search a suspicious bush or scout out for the next place Thancred will find yet another new color of depression. Most of your skills require you to stand perfectly still in order to have your big numbers to go off, and if you so much as special edition Han Solo your neck to get a better angle at your hot naked tank, your skill stops and everybody sees how you are no longer looking respectfully. Luckily, every single casting job usually has a lewd calendar's worth of tools to circumvent you having to staple your feet to the floor, which does mean in order to up your mobility without losing out on DPS, you'll need to learn the right sequence of buttons to press like you're playing a 7-dimensional accordion. That said, there's one universal trick to upping your mobility no matter the job, and that's the maneuver known as the slide casting. Though you normally have to wait for the entirety of the cast bar to complete, little known fact, once it reaches about 4/5 of the way through, you need no longer restrain your movements as though your feet were sweating Gorilla Glue, and you can afford a small amount of movement without losing possible uptime. Cool tip, this applies not only to the magic DPS, but any skill for any job that has a cast bar, so you can even be a sliding, slicing samurai. The magic limit break, similar to the ranged DPS, is an AoE that deals less base damage than the melees but can hit multiple targets. In this case, a massive circle instead, and now you can make fun of the boss for not moving out of the obviously telegraphed danger puddle for a change. Boy, do I love throwing stones out of my glass house. The family of magic is made up of 3 siblings. Okay, that's a lie, it's actually 4, but the smallest one kind of went a weird career path, and they're not often invited to the New Year's parties. The Black Mage is a fantastic job if you're a fan of Cookie Clicker, because you're pressing the same button over and over again ad nauseum to see big number go brrrr. During rotation, you start out headbanging explosions at the bad guy like a until you're completely out of mana. Then you go into a goth phase, where you chug a bunch of cold energy drinks, getting you back to peak performance where you can go back to Although you have tools to keep yourself mobile like the other mages, you will often be the least dancy and find yourself pitching a tent like you just discovered the sniper tower on Rust. It also wins the award for having the slowest leveling experience
Oh my god.
ever. Next is a summoner, who has gone through so many reworks that odds are by the time this video is published, it'll have already been changed into a tank job with 4 dots and another job stone. You summon the dragon that nearly destroyed the world 5 years ago, which some may consider in poor taste if they happen to have a loved one's name written in the 7th Umbral Calamity Memorial Museum. And after you're done making them relive their trauma, get to double, triple, and quadruple down on using avatars of terror by summoning life-size copies of 3 monstrosities that killed a lot of innocent people. Chili Boy gives you slow casts and a gap closer. Thick Thigh Bird Woman drops a mildly uncomfortable breeze, and she, as well as Chicken Nugget, turns you into a physical range DPS, where you no longer have to worry about the cast bar anymore. Suck it, Black Mage. After you're finished offending the local countryside, you bring out a big Firebird that'll restore the party's health. Hey, if you're gonna make range DPS obsolete, might as well do the same for healers too, right?
Oh
Lastly,
my
the Red
God.
Mage, the most fashionable job. You steal gimmicks from everybody else like you're a YouTuber wanting to make more than minimum wage. You've got a heal like a White Mage, but a little bit less thick. You've got explosions like a Black Mage, but a little bit less And you even get a backflip to your death like a dragoon, but a little bit more sexy. In combat, you flip between using black and white magic attacks in order to build up a mana gauge to spend slashing your sword with a whole lot of sexual tension, maybe lifting the enemy's chin with the tip of it, saying some threatening innuendo while you're at it. What makes you special, aside from the sick drip and stylish moves, is that after each spell you hardcast with a cast bar, any spell that follows is instant.
I love that Javier was like, it's true, Red Mage gets best hats. Yep, they are the most fashionable. And I did see the note about pick demand, so that they are arranged, well, they're a magical DPS. Yeah, magic DPS, yeah. Ooh, I see.
Meaning you only have to sit still about half of the time. Suck it, Black Mage. This also means you're even more efficient at raising down allies than the healer, since you have essentially infinite swift casts, and the only thing holding you back is the fact that rezzing the whole party will suck you dry like you're an anime boy with no eyes. Red Mage's limit break is also special in that it— Think fast, Juggernuts! And now you know how to— Yeah, I didn't forget, I was just hoping that you had. Playing Blue Mage is only a portion of the Blue Mage experience. The rest of it is starting sentences involving the job with the words, what about? Yes, though it may be classified in the magical range.
Is that really true? Is that really true? Wait, why? Why? I need to know the lore about Blue Mage.
DPS category, blue is unique in the fact that 1, to blue mage, is to suffer, and 2, it is considered a limited job, so it has to sit in the corner all by itself while the rest of the kids on the playground actually get to hang out. You are unable to play blue mage with the other jobs in most level synced and current content, especially high-end stuff like Savage Raids and ERP. Why is this? Because if it weren't, whoever's in charge of designing and balancing the elaborate and complex boss fights at Square Enix would probably be under suicide watch. The blue mage's unique power is that it can learn a ton of skills, spells, and abilities from the various enemies and bosses in the game, including but not limited to there's Ultra Vibration and Rose of Destruction and Sticky Tongue Snore Mustard Bomb, Abyssal Transfixion, Quasar Malediction of Water and Fire and Gone, Peculiar, Light Feather, Rain and Shock Strike, Song of Torment and Basic Instinct, Flying Frenzy and Loom, Acorn Bomb, Sonic Boom, Flying Sardine, J-Kid, Final Sting, Triple Trident and White Wind and Level 5 Petra, 5,000 Needles kinda sucks. There's Inkjet and Fates and Transfusion and Blaze, Shoko Meteor and Self-Destruct. And now you know how to play Magic, you're welcome.
I think that's all of them. Yay! We watched them all! Yay! Yay! We watched them all.